Good afternoon. In the 1920s, Henry Ford created the assembly line, which made transportation accessible to the mass public. In the 1980s, Tim Berners-Lee created the World Wide Web, created the World Wide Web, which made information available to the mass public. And in 1999, Kevin Ashton coined the term Internet of Things, which made automation available to the mass public. Since then, the Internet of Things has evolved, and consumers and businesses have utilized this technology. Consumers have used it to perform easy, routine tasks, while businesses have used it to decrease cost, decrease human error, and improve organizational efficiency. Countries like China have utilized this technology efficiently by investing in it. Countries like Canada, not so much. We don't see this as a challenge. We don't see this as a barrier. We see it as an opportunity. We see it as an opportunity for TELUS to become the leading IoT solution provider in Canada. How this will be done is through focus. We're going to utilize our current partnership model while focusing on being good at the few solutions we offer. My team and I from CaseIT Solutions are here today to present our three-pillared approach. It's going to start with optimize, then strengthen, and then expand. We're going to optimize by decreasing training costs by around 33%. This will be done through restructuring the IoT department at TELUS. We're going to strengthen. We're going to strengthen by looking to use our product offerings to target the manufacturing sector and increase revenue by around $5.5 million. Then we're going to expand. We're going to expand by entering the healthcare IoT solutions market, which will generate around $1.5 million in revenue. Now let's get to it.
Are you decreasing training costs? How?
We're actually just going to get to that in our social. So firstly, we're talking about restructuring. Optimize deals with restructuring the IoT department. So if we look to see how TELUS currently operates at current state, we see specialists are trained for each solution that the company offers. Each solution has its own sales strategy, which means that each sales specialist must be trained for around 90 solutions and 90 sales strategies. So the diagram to the left of our screen basically shows this. We have the TELUS IoT leadership team that sets the strategic direction, and we have managers and product specialists under them. The boxes around the circle really deal with the various categories of products that TELUS currently offers. There are two structural flaws with this model. Firstly, it has high training costs. Like I mentioned, every specialist must be trained for every solution. Secondly, there's lack of centrality. There's no key identified order under the TELUS IoT leadership team who is responsible for making those decisions. So, what do we suggest? Our future state solution deals with creating three portfolios, three product groups, which consist of various product categories that TELUS currently offers. We have the industrial portfolio, the operational portfolio, and the office portfolio. The industrial portfolio deals with asset tracking, fleet management, and logistics product offerings. The operational portfolio deals with loan workers, monitoring, and security portfolio. And the office portfolio deals with signage, professional services, platforms, and failover solutions. What this really has is three key benefits. The first one is dedicated relationship managers. We're going to have the portfolio managers serve as relationship managers to clients we bring in, both new and existing. Secondly, we're going to utilize the existing sales force. Right now,
Sorry, can I ask you a question? So the portfolio owners, are they product managers or salespeople?
They're essentially product managers.
So they have so the product management organization has a direct relationship with customers.
Yeah, so essentially what we want the portfolio managers to do is, if you can move to we want them to be responsible for sales and creating a relationship with customers. So essentially they're responsible for the products under them. Okay.
And in an industry, we use health as an example, where it uses all of those. Do they have three portfolio managers?
So essentially how that will work is that ultimately you want to enhance the client experience. So let's just say a client has a relationship with a specific portfolio manager, and the product that we're offering them fall under portfolio, they'll be responsible for them. Now under them, we understand that some customers may want products from industrial, operational, and office. What we're going to do is have subject matter experts. The reason why we're dividing it like this is to ensure that training for specific products is only given to certain people. There'll be subject matter experts, and let's just say there's, for example, healthcare, which requires logistics and security. The logistics and security experts will be staffed on that, reporting to the relationship manager.
How do the sales teams fit in?
So the sales team is just essentially works under them. So the salespeople are focused on functionality, and the salespeople also focus on creating a relationship with customers. So reporting to portfolio managers will be the salespeople. And the last benefit of this is scalability. This is a model used by Canadian financial institutions. This is also a model used by many CPGs. This is scalable to demand. So for example, if the industrial portfolio has more demand, we can staff more workers there accordingly. So if we look at the structure of what each portfolio will look like, obviously above there's going to be TELUS IoT leadership who will be leading the strategic intent. Then we're going to be focusing on industrial portfolio manager, operational portfolio manager, and office portfolio manager. For product specialists, based on the demand that we've anticipated, there'll be 35% of the current workforce allocated to there, 40 towards the operational portfolio, and 25 towards the office portfolio. If we average these out, we're essentially going to be training customers, we're going to be training our salespeople for the portfolio they're assigned to. So if we average this out, this results in around 33% decrease in training costs.
Okay, back to my kind of original. I'm buying the whole whack.
Yeah.
Where's my one manager? Who's my one person?
So that will be the relationship manager. So the portfolio manager are responsible for creating that relationship with clients. They're going to be facilitating that relationship and answering any questions. So for example, if you're buying stuff from the industrial portfolio and currently your relationship with the operational person, if there's some overlap, the operational portfolio manager will be responsible for addressing your questions. And they'll serve as the relationship manager. So in terms of how we plan on implementing this, we think 1 month should be good to come back, have TELUS debrief, really discuss the strategy from a more detailed perspective. Then we're going to identify appropriate product managers who will be high-achieving current salespeople, and below them will be product teams. After that, we plan on developing a training program for product team, and then actually executing our strategy. I will now hand it off to my colleague Mohammed, who will address the second aspect of our strategy.
Thank you, Ali. So, now that we understand the first portion of our strategy to optimize, we will now discuss the second aspect, which is strengthening the current product offerings that TELUS offers. We, as Sales Solution, suggest TELUS should tap into the manufacturing industry and strengthen the current product offerings. This is because of three main reasons. Firstly, the manufacturing industry is known to be amongst the ones that have the largest IoT spending compared to various other industries.
Yes. Which manufacturing industry?
We'll talk about that in the upcoming slides.
Okay.
So, this trend in terms of leading IoT spending is bound to increase based on Global Mail research beyond 2018. So, manufacturing will be a key industry for TELUS to focus on. Also, the current industry offerings that TELUS has, such as asset tracking, fleet management, and logistics, can be catered directly to manufacturing organizations. So now that we know the industry, who are the players that we can target? Here are three distinct Canadian manufacturers which represent the type of customers that TELUS should focus on. First, we have Maple Leaf Foods, one of Canada's largest meat packaging and producers. Their fleet, in terms of the industrial infrastructure, consists of hundreds of trucks and 12 million kilometers in annual transportation. So the fleet management solution by TELUS is something that has key benefits for Maple Leaf. Another example is Magna International, a global automotive part manufacturer. Given the 150 production facilities they have across US and Canada, the logistics solutions that is provided by TELUS can be something that they can leverage to manage their supply chain, decrease cost, and increase operational efficiencies.
Can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
What's TELUS differentiation in the market here? What would stop competitors, Rocky Bell or others, from focusing in the same areas and getting the same results at the same time?
So for example, Rogers focuses on machine to machine, whereas TELUS is dealing with Internet of Things. It allows corporations to actually monitor their progress, whereas machine to machine, there is no central point that collects all the information being relayed by different technology points.
I understand the definition, but I guess what I'm asking is, could Rogers not move into this area aggressively and then face some increased competition here? And if so, what's the recommendation for how to deal with that?
They could, but since given their focus on M2M and TELUS being the leader currently in terms of the IoT marketplace, we don't see Rogers as an immediate threat to come into the space. So TELUS can definitely capitalize on the opportunity and tap into the manufacturing industry.
Can I ask kind of a follow-up? So you picked every sector of manufacturing in the country, which gives you coverage, but you've done horizontal solutions. So what manufacturing value is there? Right? You could have picked any industry where fleet is applicable or logistics or asset management. I'm missing the manufacturing-ness
Right.
the focus.
So these solutions are not in terms of what you're thinking in terms of direct manufacturing. They're not related to what goes on in the factories and plants and how they produce their products. This is for everything that comes after, the value add of their supply chain. That being logistics, fleet management, asset tracking. So now that you know what type of customers TELUS should focus on, how did TELUS do it? And that's when we look at our sales strategy. The sales strategy is divided into 3 pillars: teach, tailor, and take control. Teaching is when the salesperson provides insights to the customers, because research shows 53% of B2B customer decision come from new insights that they gain from their sales employees, sales personnel. So in order to really drive home the sale, salespeople need to emphasize the new ways that a company can do their business, make money, or save money in order to knock that sale. Second is tailoring. When it comes to decision making in a corporation, there are many different stakeholders involved. That means salespeople need to understand deeply the customer's industry that they operate in, as well as the individual needs of those stakeholders, and then address them through quantifiable results that show really the value that TELUS's products can provide to those stakeholders, gain their consensus, and eventually gain that sale. Third is taking control. Salespeople really need to be confident in the product that they're selling and the value it can offer, because customers are generally risk averse. And when they show reluctance, salespeople can leverage the value that they're aiming to provide to the customer, and that will really help them drive the sale, because that shows not only concern to the customer that for the company, but also the value that the salesperson is trying to deliver. So you are bound to get the sale, but you're also bound to get their loyalty. Other than
Is there not a piece here also that, so I get the sales part and focusing the sales piece, totally understand that. What about the solutions? Are the solutions still third-party partnership solutions, or is TELUS customizing, configuring, or in other ways tailoring this to specific?
Yes, so the solutions are partner-based. Our recommendation is to work with the solution that they currently have and not to expand that.
Stick with that.
Right. So this strategy is focusing on really driving the sales up for the current solution that already exists with the current partners.
Can I ask my differentiation question again then?
Right,
So
so-
if we're not customizing and tailoring, is there not an inherent risk that competitors could come in and partner as well?
Right, so what we've done is we have our exclusive partnerships with certain organizations, right? So we're really providing these different combination of products and services, which really just gets them to process, just gets them to basically enhance all the processes, right? In terms of differentiation, we will be talking about another part, so it will become another part.
So now that we know the sales and the companies we're targeting in the industry, there's also a complementary aspect for TELUS to increase their sales for their current offerings. And that is by showcasing their products at the Canadian Manufacturing Technology Show. This is a show that is one of Canada's largest and has attendance by 8,000 professionals and 700 suppliers. They talk about and showcase the different types of manufacturing technology that is out there in the industry. But given how this technology for TELUS is not really equipped in terms of manufacturing operations, it's a value add, they can really use the opportunity to gain a lot of exposure in a relatively short period of time to multiple industries and multiple customers and different suppliers that can leverage the IoT solution by TELUS. I will now transfer to my colleague Sean, who will discuss the third component.
Thank you. Actually, I do have a question, Mr. Randy. So you're talking about these 3 different verticals and you want to sell into them. And if I understand correctly, you're looking at specializing on certain types of solutions. What happens to all the other solutions that you have?
Right, so we're still focusing our efforts on other solutions, but this is just becoming a primary focus. So what we're doing is...
Is it though? Because you defined your sales as 100%. So all your salespeople are allocated to those 3 different.
Right, so salespeople are
product
allocated to different industries. For example, monitoring, tracking, signage, security work, right? But they're not allocated to a specific industry. So we're still maintaining those relationships with other industries. It's just manufacturing becomes a focus.
Okay, so you're selling these bucketed solutions, and any one of those folks can sell into any of the verticals, so you don't have vertical focus. But how are you addressing the product lines that are not within those groups?
So, for example, do you need product lines which address the needs of other industries?
or product lines there? You've got 90 product lines. Does that all, do those groups cover all those product lines?
Yes, I'll answer that question. So essentially what we did is we took the 10 categories of products that TELUS currently offers. So there's 90 solutions. Each of those 90 solutions can be categorized into 10, and we've essentially put those into different portfolios. So we are addressing every single product, it's just under a different structure.
Okay.
But we're focusing, what we say is our primary focus for the next 3 years should be on manufacturing, and what my colleague is about to present now.
Okay.
So once we focus on strengthening and optimizing our processes, what we want to do is we want to enhance and expand into the healthcare market. Well,
Sorry,
first-
I have to, so there are 3 focus areas, industrial, operational, and office.
Yes.
Is this a 4th area then?
Yes, so
Okay.
right now what happens is we're not currently in the healthcare market and we want to become a part of it.
Okay.
And while we previously discussed that manufacturing is currently by far one of the largest sectors which invest in IoT. But healthcare lags behind, we're 12%. At the same time, we have the other market, which is a combination of multiple smaller markets. So if we were to go there, we have our focus spread apart in multiple different industries. So what we've done is we've decided to focus on the healthcare market because it shows potential and it really has chances to become the second largest IoT market by the end of 2016. And then the trend just continues until the end of 2018, where healthcare remains stable and sees quite a lot of investments in terms of overall spending. Now, in addition to just expanding into the healthcare market, we've identified 2 key partners we can partner up with to ensure that we have a strong foothold in the industry.
Okay,
So
I'll ask my healthcare question.
Okay.
What specific part of the healthcare industry are you selling into?
Right, so we're targeting small startups, which will focus on healthcare organizations like hospitals, allied organizations.
So you're selling to hospitals?
Yes.
Okay.
So are you selling the startups, the solution?
No,
or
we're partnering up with startups to get the products. For example, the application that goes on the marketplace, which we then sell to hospitals. So Flatiron, for example, is a leading oncology EMR and cloud analytics system for cancer patients, and they can constantly track what their daily caloric intake is, what their signals are like, and just smaller things.
Excuse me, how do you sell these as white label or as a value-added reseller?
Right, so we're trying to sell these as white label. What we're doing is we're providing marketing and sales efforts to these companies, and obviously with that partnership, we can help them. And then we have CMO, which we've created a prototype called the Ryerson 7, which allows multiple patients to be monitored at the same time. And that fits in perfectly with what Capsule does. Capsule has devices which allow multiple medical devices and patients to be connected to a central device, which allows all the machines to communicate at the same time and provide the best possible care for patients.
Just a follow-up question. So what are the main revenue streams?
So So in terms of actually establishing a foothold, what we've identified are 2 main roles. We've identified the healthcare portfolio managers, which will be our main points of contacts with the healthcare industries, with the partners as well as the customers, and then we've identified product specialists. And what we plan on doing is we plan on hiring 1 healthcare portfolio manager and 5 product specialists. This will cost us about $390,000 per year, and we're expected to bring in $1.6 million per year in expected revenues. Our expansion timeline seems to look something like this. So we have the first 1.5 months, July to May, August, dedicated to the formation of an actual healthcare team. The next 1.5 months will be employee training until the end of October. And finally, from October to December, we have the actual sales, which will be an ongoing process. For the sake of 2016, this will serve as a benchmark to actually measure and estimate revenue for this year.
Does that include the product, like working with those partners, and that, so it's 6 months to get from street to max, basically, you can actually be at revenue by December?
So, and by implementing our overall optimization, strengthening, and expansion strategy, we can cut down the cost by 33%. We will incur costs of $390,000 in the last expansion aspect of our strategy. And finally, we will have revenues of $7.1 million, 1.6 of which will be coming from expansion from the healthcare market, and the remaining 5.5 will be coming from the manufacturing side by targeting additional clients and by really focusing on the sales efforts. So in conclusion, we have optimization. So
This seems to be like a lot of effort to just get $7 million, and if the market is growing at the rate that you mentioned earlier, that means I'll be losing market share, not gaining it.
actually, we can pull up a few appendices after. What we have are the market size for the manufacturing and healthcare firms. Just in 5, stay home.